and hello to our audience on Zoom. We have three amazing feature readers tonight, and we're going to start with Anna Yen. Anna Yen is Mississauga's inaugural Poet Laureate from 2015 to 2017. She has authored 7 poetry collections and 4 books of poetry translation. Does that include the one you're doing now?
7? You mean 11 or 7?
Yeah, no, like you've got an extra book coming out too of translation.
Not included yet.
Not yet though. Yes. So Anna has won awards in Canada, the US, and in China. And she appears in ARP Poetry Magazine, the New York Times, Queen's Quarterly, and China Daily, and also on CBC Radio. She teaches poetry alive in schools. And I just learned today that one school in particular has invited Anna back 11 years in a row to teach children poetry, which is such a meaningful contribution to Canadian poetry. Please welcome Anna.
Thank you, Kaylin. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And also thank you because Victoria is so beautiful. And these days I took a lot of photos. And this morning I wrote a poem. And I said, okay, I shared to an editor for Pen Cool. And he liked it very much. He asked me to take a photo with myself and in Victoria. So I did that and sent to him, then they publish it, and they also put this tonight's event on this website. So it's wonderful. So I want first to share this poem with you, and allow me. I need. I couldn't see, so I need to take off my glasses. So the title will be. The title will be, Victoria, the Poetry Garden. And coincidentally, today, when doing interview with Karen, and I saw the statue and at the door called the Poetry Garden. Wow, so it's so interesting to match. So now I will read my poem. Victoria, the Poetry Garden. 2 decades ago, I parted with a seed of poetry. Today, I return with a shy handful of blossom. The April sky loosens its clouds. Bright tulips sway, white lilies nod. Along the inner harbor, water gathers light. Fishermen's homes drifting in painted reflection. In Beacon Hill Park, peacocks open their quiet pride, calling across green meadow. Ducklings and seagulls stitch circles around the fountain. Cherry trees, white and pink, lean into the wind. Half-shadowed yellow and red houses stand in composed silence. I stop by Emily Carr's home, pause before a tall totem pole. Tonight, between sea and blossom, at Planet Earth Poetry, I will join a chorus, voices carrying further than wings. So tonight I will join with Phoebe and Rod to read our poem and also our open mic poets together. So our voice will fly far away. Thank you. So this is my first poem. Attributed to Victoria, a beautiful city, and I'm so happy for you, us like a Victoria Poet Laureate. Okay, my second poem is from this book, Breaking into Blossom. It's very important to me. It's about my name. Anna is my English name. But in this poem, there has 4 other Annas. So I want you to guess which Anna I named after. So here it is, the title. Shades of the Name. From the diary of Anne Frank, I remember few names, but long hiding days, muffled silence, ghostly shades, suppressed within walls. At the age of 15, days abruptly ended, such a brief witness. On the journey of Anna Karenina, I foretell a name was doomed. Beauty, brain, and grace could not offset the hierarchy of a husband's family name, a subject to fame, overshadowed sanity. With Anne Boleyn's life, I grasp the name as lost glory, beheaded by Paul swings, the victim, the sinner, and the witch, all in one, darkened the Tower of London. Through Anna Mokawa's voices, I catch name exiled into deserts, desert of despair, desert of cruelty, desert of humanity. Names are pain, betrayers, baits, dictators, game cards, name misplaced in her beloved country. Now I choose Anna as my name, an angel with shadows to shed. When darkness shrouds the sky, I neither pray for God's mercy nor ask for Mary's grace. Instead, I seek poetry as sowing winds. So you see, the name is very important, especially in Chinese culture. And we believe name can foretell your future. And I believe Anna bring luck to me. So, and I hope you know which Anna I named after. So, someone can guess? No? Okay.
Just don't throw yourself from a train.
Yeah. So, but anyway, you can listen to the Poet Laureate podcast, so you can find out the answer. Okay. Now I want to read another one. The Truth. The Truth is from my father. I wrote many poems for my father. And one is my father, like 10 years ago, my father made a family tree. Also, it's very important for family, for culture, Chinese culture. And so I wrote that. It won an award from USA. Then I wrote another one, the Last Temple. And last year, I also wrote Father is a Mountain, to express my love to him and his love to me. Because in Chinese culture, we seldom express our loves. So I made a song for that as well. If you go to my website or YouTube channel, you will listen it. Very beautiful. So my father liked it very much. But last year, my father passed away. So now I wrote more poems for him. So I will read the recently one for The Truth. So it's after my father died. Okay. The Truth. 1. How did your father live? My forgetful mother asked again and again. I was not there, neither were the others. Each returning adds another layers of color. The materialist points to the hospital records. The devout speaks of omens and foresight. Someone dreamed he returned. Someone recalled the constellations that night. But I see only my mother wiping her tears. I, too, am forgetful. I flip through my parents' notebooks, handwriting like sand left by a receding tide. Faintly there, impossible to read. Amid guns and drums, memories at the memorial once again reshape what I know of my father. I write them down. 2. History moves this way too. Recorded, retold, a war hailed by some as glory, mourned by others as a disaster. Emperors and generals polished in official histories, colored in folk tales. Hero or demon, sage or tyrant, 1,000 versions. And the silent details, the truths left unwritten. How my father left, a soundless version, remains in that instant no one knows, like deep in history, pages yet unopened. So this is for my father. And I will close up with another poem because for fish. I visited the fisherman, the colorful floating home. It reminded me a poem I wrote many years ago, Fish in the House. And although it's very different, I wrote many poems for fish. And I believe in my previous life, I might be a fish. So this fish, actually, I use it in the school many times. Kids love it because I first ask all the people if you have pets. So a lot of people gave me like dogs and cats or something, but nobody gave a fish. So I bought my son fish, but I couldn't buy him other things, so only fish. So I feel sorry for my son. So I wrote this poem, Fish in a House. Fish in a house. You named me once, then forgot. I don't blame you. What's the point of naming a fish? You dutifully feed me. I should thank you, I guess. No matter how cold the water. Now and then, I worry I'll outlive you. This house is another water tank. You don't have any gills. When night comes, you dream and I dream too. There, I teach you how to swim. Thank you. So tonight, I'm very glad all of you come here. So this fish is not lonely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's so delightful to hear you read, and thank you. After today, we got to have a conversation on the podcast today, and it was just wonderful. Okay, next we have Phoebe Wang. Phoebe is a Toronto-based author of Admission Requirements, shortlisted for the Gerald Lampert Memorial Award, the Pat Lowther Memorial Award, and nominated for the Trillium Book Award. Waking Occupations from McClellan and Stewart is another book by Phoebe, and most recently, Relative to Wind on Sailing, Craft and Community from Assembly Press. And this is your nonfiction book, yes? And Rob has been reading it and absolutely loves it. So, yeah, nice accolade there. Phoebe is currently a writing consultant at OCAD University. Please welcome Phoebe Wang.
Thank you, Karen. So great to be here for such a wonderful night of poetry. I think Victoria is a very poetic city. I think it's kind of like I don't know, haiku or tanka, or maybe a sestina, like very orderly. I just came from Nanaimo, and Nanaimo was like making me think of maybe a dark noir crime novel. yeah. And then I was like, what if we just kept going with this? Like, we passed through Duncan. I don't know what Duncan's like.
Pamphlet.
Yeah, flash fiction. yeah, but it's got some quirks to it. So with that in mind, I didn't really get to read From Waking Occupations a lot because it came out in 2022, and I was on the East Coast in Fredericton at that time. So it's a real pleasure to read from this book, and it's kind of divided into 4 sections. And the first section are all obads, which are poems on waking, usually kind of leaving a lover. And so I have a bunch of these obads, and I'll read the one about transit because we were on a long bus ride this morning. So obad for the transient. Not knowing how far or fast we're moving, nonetheless there's solace or equivalent within the belly of the warm and rumbling vehicle lifting us past river fragments and farmland with no wheel left. If we were ferried past a border in the night, we can't recall what was exacted. It's too soon to miss our nightstands, our faults of housework, our names in mellow refrain. Because our sleep twisted restlessly back on itself like a moth uncertain of its path, we forget our gratitude at being temporarily freed from the decision-making. Our waking is less like a driving a stake into the new earth than it is a flustered leaf relenting its weak hold. We capitulate to stale attention, to our seatmate struggling to his feet, to the cramp loyal to our necks and tendons, because by now fallow land gives way to torn asphalt and loose silvery rain soothes us with its understanding. Today will contain reports of mismanagement from higher ups, routes no longer serviced, geese overhead, portents of a shuttered season, and at last, the inexplicable way you're greeted at the station, enfolded into the ridges and valleys of someone's soap-soft animal smell, accepting every door you left burning, every pillar of salt. This one's called Oh Bad for Meeting Obligations. Enough of putting off the inked light. I slip in and out of the early hours like a smuggler through the patrols with my cargo of smoke and cedar. I will commit to the breath that brings a whiff of earth, of rot, of lavender, of my sweat and trepidation, and trade that holding place for light's impartial fingers, for the weight of linen, for the close air greasy with sleep, for a mouth papery with thirst. A place beyond known ports, salt-lashed and groaning, shirts scattered over foam, snagged on rail fences. But now I levitate, crack my ankles, and register discomforts with the magistrates of my body. I use as leverage the recognizable forms, the soft envelope of the room, the mirror sure of its purpose to keep giving back. I'll get back to you. I see the flashing notifications, the upcoming appointment with the Japanese maple, the student waiting in the quarters of her intention, the message about your mother's weak heart. There is the thread about our collective action. There are growlings to be addressed. But I lost feeling in my left foot. I tell myself, time to clothe yourself in tacit agreements, to put your arms to the stretched openings. There was a time when I thought of my knees and they obeyed. I thought of music and I was singing. I thought of rain and was soaked in its high stakes, and I was weathered too, with shifting conditions, indifferent to shelter and ditches and magnificence. Just realized I think that poem's about aging, creaking feeling. This next couple of poems is from a section called Still Lives, which are poems about watching my mother paint when I was growing up and how she was the first role model. So this book is really about art and time, and I had this figure of the time-traveling woman kind of slipping through centuries, kind of acknowledged. So my mom's here tonight, so this is kind of for her. It's called Model Life. Behind the glowing door, its blank motives, a woman sits at a scarred table, implements in hand. The silence is a kind of weather. She woke up with it, dressed in its chill folds. The door is never shut. There is a glint of light beneath it, and I creep across navy carpet, through reeds and underbush, cracked highways, parched streams, through years in deficit to where she leans over the prerogative of making. I hear the paintbrush chime against glass, the chair creak, the plunge of her concentration. The hinges don't mention my approach as I disclose her thin back, her bobbed hair, the window filled with weak clouds and tedious houses, dusk applied with a wet, obscuring wash. She is drawing from life without its interruptions, without weeds or toys in the grass. She distills. I look over her shoulder. Now the chair is empty as a podium. I can refuse it the way I've shunned lead outlines and lucid pigments, but not the invitation into wider rooms than the one I occupied, the old growth opening alluringly into the valley, that scissor of sun through the birch, unrepentant. Okay, so then I have some poems that I call brief encounters. I'm not quite sure. I think like a brief encounter, maybe with objects a lot of times, but they linger. So this one's a brief encounter with a Ming Dynasty vase. What to do with the light that cannot be contained, the woman that will not be held? What does she satisfy century to century? Treading on cobblestones with her cloth shoes, then with a cigarette in hand, black rain jacket, down a tear-stained lane in Shoreditch. She has been traded for glazed ware, for piecework, for her brothers, restless in school, in an island where houses were tied down before a typhoon sang. When she glows with the knowledge of her place in time, we see the patterns etched on her polished brow. When we visit her house, she heats the kettle for tea, the taste of mountain streams and creamy flowers. We admire the single bough in its porcelain vase, as if grace were our means of escape, not hers. So they actually did this, I think, for houses in the island where my mom grew up, Pengzao, which is like about an hour ferry ride from Hong Kong. You would have to like tie down the houses, like they were about to run away every time they had a big typhoon. Okay, this one's called Brief Encounter at the Noodle Stall, and I just love the movie In the Mood for Love, as all poets do, by Wang. It's like obligatory that we all write about that film. And I just love the scene where Maggie Chern's character just goes out for a bowl of noodles. Not so much hunger as an answer to her body's perpetual appeals. She defers to them without satisfaction, the sound of her sandals as matter of fact as a metronome, and her heartbeat a drum retreating down an empty road. The noodle vendor fills another bowl with pulled strands, seemingly endless bowls and endless strands into the night, a night that is like a temporary encampment, walls close at the sides of a tent, the streets steaming. Under the lamplight, she passes another neighbor starched in his solitude, his glances brilliantined, his appetite sharpened for the moment he will lift the briny broth in secret envelopes of meat and chives to his lips and swallow the mute plea inside. And the last section is a section of elegies, and I think I might just read one short one from here. And then some new work. Okay, this one's called Without Custom. Passed down like storm glass, they predicate disaster, so we avert our eyes but not our hands. My father senses a shape as chilly as a snowdrift, and I don't ask if it had a bluish tinge. It wasn't a matter of belief. I was told, never offer pallid flowers to your elders, and for a time our garden was saintly with lilies, dogwood, and apple blossom. I can't deny their transparency, even in semi-neglect, was beyond reproach. The sight of mourners in pale regalia sent my mother, then a child, into speechlessness. Rules can be custom-made, but like a house must contain paper napkins, eggshells, piano keys, porcelain, pearly rice, salt over the shoulder. At a certain age, I stopped drawing from life, not trusting the scenes before my eyes. Just remember what that poem was about as I was reading it. It's really the idea of white being an unlucky color. And I was like thinking about all the white things that give us so much comfort. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of new poems because they're BC poems. I'm here usually in December when I have a break from the term. So every December, my mom and I usually have time to come to the island. So we've done Tofino, Ukulele, and we visited Salt Spring Island. So I ended up writing a lot of poems about that. It became kind of a chapbook blend called Citation Practices. And I've never read any of these aloud, so I kind of have forgotten I'd written them because the blur of writing creative nonfiction was like erased my brain. I will mention actually about creative nonfiction. I think it's such a great genre for poets to get into. But I will be doing a signing and tomorrow at Monroe's, so the other independent bookstore, just covering all my territory. And from 1 to 3, I'm gonna be happy to talk about like poetry publishing or book proposal with any of you, especially with the publishers that have supported me in the past. And I myself have been an editor at Brick Books as well. So yeah, you don't have to come buy my book. I just love people to come talk to me about their writing. Okay, so this one is about how what you see when you kind of come down to the lower mainland on the plain. And my mom lives in Richmond, so this is kind of about that landscape. And it's called Critical Reading. A preview from the window of the migrating Boeing jet of the lower mainland's paragraph structure as it circles Sea Island. The numbered roads of Richmond like topic sentences spelling out a topography of growth and investment. My mother comes to meet me in her puffy winter coat, and we tuck ourselves into the SkyTrain, skimming over the factory outlet mall, the resort casino, the Stolo making its long and arguable thesis statement from the headwaters to the estuaries. But I cannot see the major points or the entirety of its organizing ideas. We are only here because of circumstance and subsidized living, and my visit is temporary and seasonal. All I have time for is to scan the rain-taught plazas of the Golden Village, unctuous with a scent of star anise and clay pot rice, to read the flyers of good deals on pomelos and king crab, the Chinese characters of luck and prosperity, with water and open mouths tucked inside, as if I'll be assigned to paraphrase and summarize the muted expressions of drivers intent on merging of the moss-like bungalows, holding out against the forest of condos self-propagating along Capstan and Hazelbridge Way. So I annotate, I burrow for signification, I subvert the dense intent. And I'll finish with my latest poem. I'm not really actively writing poems, but now and then I get these wonderful requests to write like a commission. And so they asked me to write one. This was for Western Phoenix, which is a really nice community paper. We have, thanks to Dave Bettini of the Real Stags, just decided to pivot from his like rock star career into now publishing a local newspaper. So it's about that feeling when spring is just about to start, but you feel really unprepared. You know, and you almost wish for more winter so you could get to all the projects that you meant to do before spring actually started. And then all your neighbors and everyone at the yacht club already seems ahead of you, and you have this kind of like, shameful, kind of guilty feeling. So this is called Overland water insurance because we get a lot of flooding in Toronto, especially when it's rained a lot. And so like Toronto, we always have to have like house insurance that floods. I don't know if you get that here. Okay. Like unmade beds, the yards are rumpled. Downy covers of snow pull back to expose wet wrappers, chip crumbs, sweat stains. This year, like every year, the softening air startles me from behind like a stranger invading my personal space, too heedless even to be rude. The dark months recede, pulling from the station. I'm offended somehow. Its flickering signals were hard to read. Those of you who are ready carry that readiness in crisp paper packets, tipping them into troughs. Your bikes are attuned and not, like mine, admonishing me with its seized rusty chain. Your boats are already released from tarps way down through the winter with water-filled gallon milk jugs to have their hulls pressure washed and primed for anti-fouling copper paint. Meanwhile, the splinters of ice at the bottom of my wooden dinghy thaws and has nowhere to go. Meanwhile, I hear a river beyond my door. When I mean ready, I mean not stalling, not making excuses, not postponing opening the valves of the recalcitrant heart. Thank you again for listening, for hearing, for this wonderful evening. And I turn it over to our final reader.
Thank you, Phoebe. It was wonderful to hear all of that. Just fabulous. Thank you so much. Rob McLennan is the author of some 50 trade books of poetry, fiction and non-fiction. His most recent titles include On Beauty, Stories, the poetry collections, the Book of Sentences and Edgeless, forthcoming with Caitlin Press, and the anthology Groundworks, the best of the third decade of above ground press with Invisible Publishing. Rob founded Above Ground Press in 1993 and has published over 1,400 chapbooks. He's significantly helped shape the landscape of Canadian poetry. He's also founded the Ottawa Small Press Book Fair and the small poetry journal Touch the Donkey, and Periodicities, a journal of poetry and poetics, which is online. He's the current artistic director of VerseFest, Ottawa's International Poetry Festival. And Rob spent the 2007 and 8 academic year as writer-in-residence at U of A. Please welcome Rob McLennan. Where is he?
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. I realize I used to read here fairly regularly in the late 90s, early aughts, but I probably haven't been here to read since like 2003 or something. Oh, hello.
No, hello. Could I check it to see?
Yeah.
Because he's too tall.
I'm going to see myself? Oh, gross.
So
okay.
That's why life.
Oh, that's better.
Okay.
Jesus. Like a towel to cover it or something. Good Lord. I'm very pleased that the people I used to hang out with here in the late 90s and early aughts are still alive. Nothing more than that. I'm just pleased with that. I'm going to start with a couple poems. I'm in this On Occasion Poems for the People anthology that Coach has put out. And since I've not been invited to read any of the lunches, I'm going to read some of them now. And John Barton's in here, and Melanie Siebert's in here, and other people are in here. So it's clearly a good book. But I'm in here too. Hello, John Barton. 42nd birthday. 1. 2 years ago, 2 days into original coronavirus lockdown, I refused, declared my 40s persist until the world reopens, and only then to ease into my 50s, already well in progress. 2. Cobwebs horizontal, the familiarity of the single room, to hear sound in relation, parents, children, siblings, pets, to sleep, to sleep and age across each spectrum. The limits of this field. How might my children die? Why were my parents not my own? Once more into the weeds. 3. Birthday, birthday, what do you want of me? Banal acquiescence of cake, pints, comic books. Has nothing changed across these 30-odd years? A dreamlike curiosity held down with equations. The math is now impossible. 4. My 3rd annual isolation birthday, a rehearsal of inarticulate space. A glass reflects this breath by breath, half century plus a hand between palms. I'm not going to read all 3 of them, but I'm going to read 2 of them. So obviously, the book of sentences was pandemic written, and these 3 poems are in a project after, so it's sort of that era, which I'm sure everyone's very excited to hear about. Ottawa poet Stephen Brockwell, his beloved dog died, so of course I wrote a poem because it was a beloved dog. Requiem for Nico, who was a good boy. 1. Ridiculous laphound, labradoodle, muscled heft to leap, to land on quarters, haunches, cannonball of raggedy fleece. No visitor stood safe, the family cat, on his part, apathetic, ascending stairs, past safety gate. 2. Such boundless energy, a crossroads of enduring rapture, doggone, Corona any backyard, park, a living room bereft of anchor, rain, an impulse check, his bewildered, unfettered delight, the likes of which will break this way again, repeatedly, as is the nature and quality of breeds. 3. To vault the length of rooms and scale these human limbs, get down, get down. 4. Paul Valery, when the poets repair to the forest of language, he grabs the leash as Stephen makes for the entranceway. What nest of Rideau Terrace scents or sounds might capture? Fleeting cars or supplementary dogs, outcrop of birds, a flicker, moments, preoccupations that can't help their way into such text, a run for grounded. When will he ever go, or why are we here? Behind that tree, perhaps, he chases the infinite stick. I have this too, but I'm not going to read from it. I just wanted to show it to you. Why would he do that? It's so weird. No, not that one. Burning the dead grass. 1. A farmer's springtime ritual, layers of controlled burn, orange flames peeled black, pressurized by winter snow. This wild silken pasturage grown brittle to allow fresh growth injects the lone lit match. These drifts and banks of unkept tall grass, clover resting at the fence brow, up and down the gravel boundaries of concession 7. My youthful passage, accompanying my father as he attends an authority of supervision, train of smoke, a furrow one can see for panoramic miles, neighboring farmers who similarly announce the rising thin exhaust, this wake of black crunch underneath my dusty runners. 2. Once upon a time in North Stormont, Glengarry, the divisions set and imprecise, a carve of lineations across assembly, immigration, concession lines, the character arc of geographic space. Aside traditional acreage set pathways connecting Ottawa foundations, land I had to research. Monty Reed, no way to distinguish what one has chosen to remember from what one has chosen to forget. What these translations can't yet identify, the unacknowledged breaks, lineages the settler descendants do not reference. 3. My father's 80th birthday, he has been dead for more than a year. 4. For these forms to be original, they require self-awareness, thought, hard inertia. Keats' dictum of ease, if a poem requires work, if even thought requires work, I spend as much time extracting words as I might introduce. A carved precision. The smoke lifts, white and brown and black, subject to paternal shadow. Early 1980s, this Saturday morning, sparks a flutter. My father and his hired man attending, shifts of air and rain. Monty Reed, it is not the first time I've tried to give up some words. Autobiography. 1. Imitation and the whole of the poem. Ringo Starr, his early morning meander in a hard day's night, a scene originated as a young lad too hungover from the night prior to do much else. One knows the language and the frame of reference, love and terror, the body and our means. This long tidal reach across 45 navigation locks, the possibility of leaving everything intact is overwhelming. 2. Invasions, glance, rhetorical amid the constant shift. Embanking floodplains, a triptych of valley, gateway, estuary, the Tower of Babel and the full weight of cultural history. Some greyhounds can sink like a stone. 3. Rarefied, capturing the shadows of a wordless art. Beatlemania, he walked the day's breath, the glint of light and the cut, Britain's shoreline of liquid history, this medial, muddy watercourse. Ringo Starr, with each dense step, strode solo, monochrome, and sepia, his perambulation along the River Thames towpath, the embankment in Kew, Surrey, the Neolithic page, Horizon, one of the very best in London. It's weird to be in a bookstore with not a lot of lights on, and it makes me presume there's at least one ghost. Like we're all thinking it. I just need to say it out loud. Everyone knows I'm right. Reading Kaveh Akbar's Pilgrim Bell by our new inflatable pool. 1. This lyric footnote to our 2 wee girls, across suburban stillness, a second pandemic summer. Inflate this coral beast. To lifeguard, cats are chaos now. They've gathered swimsuits, sunscreen, neon sun hats, towels discarded, strewn across the lawn. The garden hose enables water levels, slow. The fallow ether, heat, compels. Kaveh Akbar, God's word is a melody, and melody requires repetition. 2. I largely believe in neither God nor absolutes. My personal blend of atheist and agnostic, I am not certain what I don't believe. Tommy Pico, nations are always outlived by their cities, so too of deities, the faithful, a routine erosion of both memory and the body. Today, the children laugh at splashing, tumbles, thick, this compilation, blue of summer day, the air is static, stock still. 3. The difficulty of solitude, ongoing months of household isolation, either child upset at any suggestion of separation, an outdoor day camp, Aoife cries at drop-off every morning for the full week. Our daughters are home, are always home, and we too, as quick as a half-thought. A subtweet takes time. Kaveh Akbar, God's word is a melody, and melody requires repetition. 4. The last time I saw my father, he was dead. I expect for him that little has changed. His youngest grandchildren apply wet, dirty footprints across their kitchen floor en route to main floor bathroom. I have to go, they yell. The digital display on my cell phone sluggish. A second pair of towels replace what they've already abandoned. 5. Polyvinyl chloride, inflatable stripes of white and deep blue held to ground, our personal echo of the ozone ceiling. It swells such temperate, watery mass. I turn the page and then another, the shade of absolute integrity, an afternoon of poems, a sweltering of what the week brings, uncomfortable with otherwise allowing Our Lady solo in this foot or so of grassy, leafy soup. 6. The children break for snacks, sun hats, discarded splash of neon texture on uneven green. In 2 weeks' time, we commit my father's ashes, there, just upon my mother. Such a long death, 16 months of mourning, incomplete. Since at first dawn, he wouldn't wake. Kava Akbar, God's word, is a melody, and melody requires repetition. 7. As writing prompt Soako Nakayasu says to select an object or concept, write a poem, write another, write poems in this manner for as long as you can. The children 2 days prodding for the pool and 90 minutes filling it, less than an hour before back in the house. I will read 2 more. Yes, I will. 5 poems for Anstruther Press. 1. Whether a lake in the Kawarthas or the Scottish coastal town founded as fishing village, stumbleweed, euphemism, Alexander I of Scotland and the lands of Anstruther to William de Candela, 1225, we all fall down. The sentence is preposterous. 2. Amid a network of freshwater lakes, this glacial stretch of shining excess, Lake Ontario via Anstruther Creek by way of rivers Mississauga, Otonabee, Trent, a drop of dew, line, Banu Kapil, what is the place of the fragment in your work? Picture the river, the water flows, what has been transferred, names we carry here. 3. A poem to the reader, territory, maps, and dust. Invasive species, as Stacey Ho writes of ecologies, migration, refugees, metaphors, it has me thinking. 4. Anstruther, a name that lends itself to water. One small boat fishing, coasts alternating wavelengths, cyan, turquoise, teal. The Great Lakes Basin, Billy the Kid, and the benefit of ash, oak, a strained relationship to sun, semiotic, tidal, plants a bare foot. Preoccupied by gravity, the surface water points to sea. 5. Articulation, falls, an unobstructed view. Gosh, that was a good one. Summer, pandemic. Because we're all very excited to still hear about the pandemic. 1. Reading Etel Adnan Seasons, I perch in pre-cooked car and await our cat attend this follow-up appointment to his recent dental extraction. This body is a means to dialogue and his teeth held in synaptic space. From this lone parking lot in Ottawa's East End, veterinarian staff report his outbursts, frustrated at their prodding. He is such a mood. 2. I read my book, a constant shift of morning, shallows. She mentions stiffness, rain, and wind. Under sun's corrosive eye, self-conscious breath of breathing, face masked, and yet, to say the truth, 3 withering dandelion heads in the passenger side, half an orange crayon on the floor mat, a shadowed road, a crosswind. 3. The hottest Vancouver on record, the hottest Ottawa on record, the hottest Toronto on record, the hottest Pakistan on record. Our own details have betrayed us. Adnan, our civilization's growth is cancerous. 4. As we move through seasons, clouds, this stagnant air, and asphalt of reflected heat. This is a time travel story. For sale, cat's Elizabethan collar, newly worn. The painkillers we administer with the usual contusions. At 9 years old, his age is finally matched to mine, old enough to undermine the logic of the predetermined body. 5. Confronts the table leg, the chair leg, his water bowl, and loses. This plastic cone, a rhetorical theater he can't conceive. A week's worth of auto-generated hangdog expression. 6. 4 teeth removed, including, ironically enough, his feline canines. Costs enough we could have purchased another car. Our cat is now a car. Small engine roars and hums. I drive and find a home, a threaded language for every future. Thanks.